Do you have enough lights? You know, I'm
Yeah.
such a lighting personality.
Madam from McKnight Carlson Wines.
I'm Lee from the Oshkosh Beer Blog.
And I'm Leoš with the Lazy Monk Brewing.
Leoš Frank.
That is correct.
Yeah. Lazy Monk Brewing in Eau Claire. Now, typically we immediately crack into a beer, but let's hold off on that for a second. Because let's talk about you. Because I think
It makes me uncomfortable.
the uncomfortableness has just begun. It'll get worse.
We need some background.
Yeah. I mean, you have a really interesting backstory. I mean, you come to all this quite differently. So you were born in what is now Slovakia. What was then?
It used to be Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia. And is that where you developed your affinity for beer?
Well, when you live there, actually, beer is part of the life. So you really don't think about it. It's just part of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I was growing up, there was no need to think about making beer because it was plentiful, and it was cheap and it was good. So that's I never thought really about.
It's probably similar to like Italy or France, where wine is on the table all the time. I'm sure in Eastern Europe, it's beer is on the table all the time.
Farther east it goes, it's turning from beer to hard alcohol.
Okay.
But where I was, it was I never really developed any taste for hard alcohol.
So you moved to America in 1993. Is that correct?
That's the secret information.
Okay.
How about a long time ago?
But did you come directly to Wisconsin then, or did
Yes.
you? Okay.
Yes.
And from what I've heard, you weren't satisfied with the beer you were getting here.
Yeah, I mean, you come from a beer culture, and then you also, at a time, I mean, the United States is also a large beer culture, but it was very monolithic when I moved here. So, excuse me, people are saying, "Oh, you like those heavy beers." So Leinenkugels. So I had Leinenkugel, and I said, no, not really. I said, oh, we have another one. It's called Michelob. and
Another heavy beer.
Another heavy beer. And after some time, I just stopped drinking beer. Really, the craft brewing wasn't around. It was just Samuel Adams you could find from time to time.
Probably just getting big then.
Yeah, Sierra Nevada, you actually could not really buy it here at the time. So it was really Samuel Adams.
So what were you drinking before you came to America?
It was where I come from. Usually we call it beer and dark beer, and beer was your Bohemian Pilsner, but a lot of time it was referred to the beer of Pilsner style, because I guess there is a little bit of trademark maybe issues. So that's why. Yes.
Sure.
So then you get into home brewing.
Yes.
And you start making your own beer.
It was actually a very interesting moment because I stopped drinking beer for I don't know, maybe 5 years or whatever.
Wow.
And then I was fairly active Linux user. Linux is an operating system.
Sure.
So I was chatting with somebody, and the guy said, this weekend actually I made my beer. I said, what do you mean you made your beer? So then actually it turned around that actually you can actually make your own beer, and that was like, all right, maybe I can try to make my own beer.
So how this was what, late 90s?
No, it was actually, I think it was 2008.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Yeah,
not long ago.
2007, 2008. Yes.
Wow.
So as a home brewer, did you launch of course now you're best known for these lagers you make. As a home brewer, did you immediately launch into brewing lagers, or did you work your way into that?
I wanted to make a beer,
Yeah.
So as every home brewer starts with a kit and advice from a homebrew shop, and that's what happened too.
So then in 2011, you decided to destroy a perfectly good hobby.
Actually, it was in 2010. It wasn't really my decision. The best decisions are made by people who make the decision for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost my job. I used to work for IT, and I was a database developer, and so they decided I don't need to work there. It was not for working purpose as far as they just decided that they don't need to have a 70% of IT.
Sure.
Very smart decision still, I think. That is,
It worked out.
It worked out quite well, yeah. And then, it was like, well, what do I want to do when I grow up, And I had this hobby, and it was like, well, everybody wants to open a brewery. So I was looking for a job for about 1 year, 1+ year, and then I really didn't find. I didn't want to travel. Really, that kind of job, what I had, you usually work for larger companies because you have larger sets of data.
Sure.
And so then it was like, all right, so I have this hobby, and well, maybe I can open a brewery. And my wife reluctantly agreed. She, looking back, we are saying that red Corvette or yellow Corvette and the hot woman would have been much less work and trouble. But so that's what happened. Then in 2010, actually, we opened a brewery.
And you and your wife Teresa started Lazy Monk Brewery.
Yeah, it was my midlife crisis. So she was supporting me for 3 years while I was volunteering for myself. Yes, but
That's
then
a good way of putting it.
But then in 2 years ago, I think it was, she retired from her job, and then right now both of us we are working for Lazy Monk.
So, 2011, that's when you first start selling your beer.
Yes.
This is like IPAs are just going crazy, and you decide to go an entirely different route.
Yeah, here I come with the Pilsner. Hello, I have a Pilsner.
And I mean, so last fall was the first time I tried your beer, and I was aware of you. I really wasn't that familiar, but immediately, like that first beer I had at the tap room, just blew me away. This depth of malt flavor that I've only kind of had in these Czech beers.
Yes.
And I made a pest of myself, and finally they let me walk through the brewery. You weren't there at the time. And one of the things that really kind of surprised me is the bags, the 50-pound sacks of continental malts that you have there. This is an expensive way to brew beer.
Well, you can look at it one way or the other way. When you brew IPAs, your largest, your most expensive ingredients is your hop. So if you are going to be brewing malty beers, then you are not using a lot of hops. So might as well spend it on proper malt. And I'm saying proper malt. It's probably a bad way to say it, but if you travel to Europe, they have a Mars bar. Or they have Coca-Cola, and you get that Mars bar, and it has the same package like here in the United States, and you open it, and you eat it, and it doesn't taste alike. And all what it is, because they have different base ingredients. So if you want to make beer, European beer that tastes like European beers, you need to use those ingredients. At least that is my opinion.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, let's talk about hops. So like in your Bohemian Pilsner, you're using Czech hops.
I use Magnum and hop, Magnum and hops. Yes.
Is it difficult to source those ingredients?
Not necessarily. No, they are fairly plentiful. Saaz sometimes is hard to get, but Magnum is as well as with the Magnum. I think that I probably could switch to high alpha domestic hops for bittering, because you really don't necessarily taste that much.
So you don't lose flavor there.
Yes. But I think that Saaz you don't get. You have to have a authentic Saaz, because they are U.S. Saaz, but it's really
driving that spicy kind of floral note.
That is correct.
Yes. The other part of this where you made things immediately hard on yourself is by the decision to do lager beers on a small scale like this. Do you have a hard time keeping up with demand? Because the lager beers take longer, the whole fermentation process.
It does. Just you adjust to it and you work with it.
Plan accordingly as much as possible.
Yes.
Well, we're talking about all these beers, and we need to drink some beer.
Yeah.
Now, Leoš has to drive today, so we're going to give you a pass. And Adam has promised to drink your share.
I'll drink your share.
So, all right, very well.
I only have to work.
So this is a new beer that you just put out.
Yes.
This is your Weizenbach.
Yes.
So you have not made this beer before?
No, this is first time. As well as this is the first time I work actually with this yeast. This is Weizenstefan Weizen.
Oh, okay.
So it's
authentic German.
3068.
Yeah, and it's got. You're getting that nice kind of
estery
clove and a
note.
bit of that banana coming up with some pretty deep malt aroma.
Well, and this looks rich. It's got that kind of nice unfiltered look to it.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about ingredients in this?
Now you put me on the spot. But
I assume there's a little bit of wheat in here.
Well, that's a secret ingredient.
Well, you gave that away when you called it Weizenbach.
Yeah. Not everybody knows what Weizen means. But yes, there is more than 50% of wheat malt, and then I think that I put a Munich malt in it and a little bit of Pilsner malt. for the aesthetic power.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean the mouth feel is super soft, really
Creamy,
lush.
rich,
Yeah.
and the fact that it finishes nice and dry, I really like personally.
It's excellent. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about another beer you've got coming up, and Adam, you'll have it on tap here.
Yes.
The Keller beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is like one of my favorite styles of beer.
You know, it's interesting because usually when I have a line of the beers I call them pivo, which means beer in here, and usually they are inspired from our travel to Czech Republic, and Czech Republic has a lot of beers that are 4 or less % alcohol by volume. Czechs as a nation are #1 consumers of the beer per capita, and it doesn't mean that everybody's drunk.
Well, you can't do that unless it's lower alcohol.
Yes. So actually, my Pivo and Keller beer is actually sort of a combination. We were in a Bamberg, and they had non-filtered amberish beer, and then plus the Pivo as far as low alcohol. So it's less than 4%. Still, the issue here is that you need to make it substantial. It is not your watered down beer.
Yeah,
Still with the low alcohol.
Right. Well, and you do that, with your Bohemian Pilsner. That's a 5% beer,
Sometimes a little less. Yes.
and it's got a beautiful mouthfeel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Bohemian Dark is also 5%. Isn't it?
Yes, which is interesting because dark actually has a higher original gravity, but it doesn't finish as
Ferment
low.
as low.
So
Okay.
that's why it's about 5% for 9.
So let's talk a little bit about your system. You have a 5.5 barrel system,
That is correct.
but you have 15 barrel fermenter.
Yes.
So to fill a fermenter, you're brewing 3 times.
3 times. I try to punish myself all the
Okay.
time.
Now, earlier this year, you opened a new tap room.
That is correct.
Quite a bit larger.
Yes.
You went from having 6 taps to 14 altogether, but you're
yes.
filling 10 of them yourself.
Right now, and whatever taps I don't fill, I actually get guest beers.
Okay.
And I think having a guest beers is a nice way, to promote similar people or similar small breweries.
Like-minded, yeah.
Like-minded, as well as, I don't necessarily take them as a competition.
Yeah.
It's
Well, there
a
aren't
way
too many people doing what you're doing out there, so it's going to be tough to find head-to-head competition in this area.
Yeah, I mean, you look at them and you say, well, let's be friends, let's share information. And
Well, there's a growing network of small breweries in the state, which is very exciting. And,
Yes.
I know we know some of the, Black Husky, and
Yes.
that's great.
So at the tap room now, I mean, you're by the Chippewa Falls River.
Yes, we are. We are
And
in downtown.
there's going to be a bike trail coming by there.
Yes, there's going to be. Yes, so it's Eau Claire is in redevelopment stage, and we are. They started doing it about 20 years ago.
This is
and,
downtown Eau Claire,
This is
right?
downtown Eau
Okay.
Claire. Yes, which was very unusual to find large enough building in a downtown
Yeah.
that is sort of warehouse and retail at the same time.
Now, are you brewing at the old location?
Right
still?
now we are brewing at the old location. So our next move is actually to move a brewery because so retail is upstairs, that is actually street level,
Okay.
and then brewery is going to be downstairs, that is actually you can drive to it. So
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
So how often are you having to brew now?
1 to 2 times a week, so from 15 to 30 barrels, it depends.
Okay.
I sell about 60 barrels a month right now.
Wow.
And most of it is in a beer hall.
And part of what's amazing is that is you're doing your own self-distribution as
Yes.
well. So you're on the road. How often?
Well, less
More
than
than like.
yeah, more than what I would like, but it's getting less and less. Just trying to scale back a little bit.
Good.
But thank you for inviting us here, and
Yeah.
if we can make it worthwhile for me to drive here.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's been a great response to your beer in this market. I think it is unique, but it's also styles that resonate with people in addition. So
Yes.
This is really nice.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
and you really do have a signature malt flavor. I mean, I can even get it out of this beer where there's a lot of yeast character to it.
Yes.
You can still get to that malt.
Yeah.
It's really
Which is interesting because a lot of the time people say of the brewery house flavor, and it might be because they are using one strain of the yeast all the time. Which that's my
Yeah.
but here I use actually different yeast.
right.
Yes.
But I would recognize this as one of your beers.
yeah,
I mean,
well,
it's a little
the
bit of
mouthfeel
both.
really is. It's creamy and rich without being full-bodied, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's got really, and they all kind of have the same pillowy kind of malt flavor.
And that was interesting when I brewed this beer. When I was tasting the wort, the only way I could describe it was that it was very soft.
Yeah.
It was very soft on palate. Unlike when you have the barley worts, they are they are a little bit rougher.
And that softness is without a doubt carried over into the finished beer.
Well,
I mean,
and that's you
it's very
definitely
lush.
get that from the wheat being, you know, softer, kind of more buttery grain.
Yes.
Well, Leoš, I mean, this is awesome. Thanks for taking the time to do this with us today. I know you got a busy day.
Area. Yeah.
You know, thanks for bringing your beer to Oshkosh.
Yeah,
we
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Prost.
All right, I'll take my water.
All right.